The only reason for sex is only permitted for the marriage. Okay? And then I need a godly seed from that union. That's what God is saying. But only once you establish the covenant, then you have the intimacy and then reproduction. The thing is, the further we get away from what God has established, the more lost we are. Because let me give you, I've heard somebody say that, well, I wouldn't want to wait to have sex. How do you know if you're gonna like it? Well, here's the thing. If both of you have abstained from sex, how do you know what's good and what's not? It's gonna be good. Because it's your first experience together. The problem is that we begin to mingle, we begin to test the waters before, and now our memory is too good. So now when we meet somebody, we're trying to compare them to somebody they don't even know exists. The process of intimacy, the process of sex makes you one. Therefore, whoever you sleep with, you're becoming one with them. So even when you move on and try to establish a new relationship, and now you're intimate with that person, listen, you're still connected to some other people. The reason why a lot of people can't have a relationship is because of they are one with other people. And now they're trying to start something, but they cannot because they're bringing baggage with them, and that baggage keeps them from starting something new. They can't use their imagination and start something new. Why? Because their memory is too good. They're trying to compare Peter to Paul. And see, this is what the enemy has done, because once we have pornography, we have all kind of things now, right? That says that, okay, you ain't got to be married. No, everybody has these organs. Just have at it. Now we're no good for marriage. There's other people that we've shared ourselves with. Because let me explain this to you. Everybody is not worth your time. Everybody's not worth your time. So when you give a person a piece of you, they have that forever. Even if we would use the prostitution route, okay, and you receive money for it. Okay, but when the money is gone, they still have you forever. God said, woman made for man. A man is in charge. But what has happened is there's an identity crisis that has taken place because the man has been absent from his role. And since he's been absent from his role, there's some women that have had to step up and assume the position of the man. But what has happened is it created an identity crisis, because now, when she's been in that role for so long, she's not willing to relinquish her position. She's not willing to relinquish her authority when that man shows up. So what she's expecting, that man, when she meets a man, she's expecting him to fall in line. I'm in charge of this. I've been doing this so long. I don't need you. I've been holding it down forever. And what happens is, if a real man shows up, there is tension, because a real man cannot be in that position of help me. He is designed by nature to be in authority, in the position of authority. Let me also tell you this. By nature, a woman is designed to help a man. A woman is the weaker vessel. So therefore, this is why you'll have a woman that will follow a man no matter what. I've seen a homeless man on the corner with a woman and a dog. And sometimes I know I can be a bit silly. I'm trying to figure out, what dream did he sell her for her to be out here supporting him on the corner with nothing? But this is what she's designed. This is what she has been created to be, to do. And the issue again, why there are so many that cannot be married, they cannot be a wife, is because of the identity crisis. I don't need no man. Oh, I can do this by myself. So if that is your perception of a man, because apparently you never had a real man. You see what I'm saying? When that is your perception of what a man is for, guess what? It's not going to last. It's not going to work. Also, let me tell you this, for everybody that's biblical, you're going to understand this. When you begin to sample, when you begin to test the water, when you begin to be promiscuous, and now what do you have to offer to your husband? You're not even able to be a wife. And the same thing when it gets down to the man. Let me tell you something, man. As men, okay, we haven't been in the right position. We haven't been in our role, okay? We haven't been on our post. And it takes a special type of man to say that, okay, I'm going to assume the role as a helpmate, because that's not what you were created for. It takes a special type of man to say that, okay, I'm going to allow the woman to defend me, to protect me, to provide for me. It takes a special type of it's an identity crisis. And let me tell you this. If there is a woman that is looking for that man, she's been in that position for so long, and this is the type of man that she's looking for, it's going to be a problem. Because the truth of the matter is, you do not have the strength to defend, protect, and serve all of these things that the man has. You may think that, oh, okay, I can do it, but you're fooling yourself, because that's not your role. That's his role. And guess what? Let me tell you something. I can't say that these marriages won't work, but what I will tell you is, like I said before, every marriage is not a marriage in the eyesight of God. I will say that time and time again. Why? Because God has established this. He showed you, okay, this is how, this is the marriage that I recognize. And see, let me tell you something. People will throw around what God has joined together. What God has joined together, let no man pull asunder. Let me tell you this. There's marriages that God ain't joined together. So stop trying to give God credit for something that you don't want to separate from. Hmm? Stop trying to give God credit for something that you don't want to separate from. Now you're saying that God put you together. And now you want to use the script. God hates divorce. God only ordained sex for the marriage. So when you enter into sex, you are establishing a covenant. You are becoming one. That's the marriage. So even though you haven't gone through the formal procedures, you're still operating as under the marriage. The purpose was to produce a godly seed. And if you're not godly, you can't produce godly seed. Now, guess what? It'll mess some people up to think that, okay, that their children are not godly, their children are unclean. But this is why you need to, as soon as you learn it, then guess what? You need to apply this in your life and say, look, you know what, Lord, I didn't know. I didn't know. Forgive me for my ignorance. Forgive me for all the times the decisions that I made, due to immaturity, or sometimes even I was willing to do certain things. I intentionally did some things. I intentionally did not want to be alone. As men, here's an issue that we have. The thought of me being with one woman for the rest of my life. Man, I can't. One woman for the rest of my life. Let me tell you something. Hear me now. Hear me, men. I'm talking to you. And women, y'all can listen to it if you want to. Listen, the sex is psychological. Sex is psychological. Okay, let's have a mature conversation. I want you to understand intimacy. Okay, sex. Well, let's talk about sex. Sex is just in and out, in and out, in and out. It's repetitive. It's the same thing over and over. However, intimacy involves the feelings, emotions, your heart, your thoughts, what's going on in your mind. Is intimacy. So guess what? The more feelings you have for a person, the better it is. Did you catch that? Because here's the thing. There can be somebody that you look at and you see all the things that you're attracted to, but then afterwards it's like that wasn't nothing. Why? Because it's psychological. But you still went through the same process. But in your mind you say that I ain't like that. Because it's psychological. So when you care for that person, it doesn't matter when you care how many times you are with that person, guess what? It's still going to be pleasurable and mind-boggling. Now that's something that you need to think about, ponder on.